back and out of the carriage's path. He was well over my slight 5-foot height. My feet didn't touch the ground. As he released me, my knees didn't want to hold my weight. I remained upright by will alone. My ears rang, the sound slowly fading as I turned to face my rescuer. Lord Edwin Sutton, old Lady Gladstone's nephew and the man I had recently accused of a crime he didn't commit. The kitten squirmed in my grasp, mirroring the writhing nerves in my belly. "Apologize." I opened my mouth, not certain of what I meant to say. "What were you thinking?" My hackles rose. "I beg your pardon?" Over a foot taller than me, Sutton surrounded me as he leaned forward. The kitten pawed ineffectually at his blue jacket. A muscle twitched in his clenched jaw as he swept his top hat off his head. The tousled umber strands of his hair kissed his clean-shaven jaw. It needed a cut. He ran his fingers through the locks, then smashed the hat into place again. "You could have been killed." I gulped at the displeased growl in his voice, belatedly recalling that I wasn't supposed to be on this street. Would Sutton tell his aunt? I met his hazel eyes for a prolonged moment. The forbidding man in front of me melded with the gentle, soft-spoken boy I'd once known. How could he have changed so much? Perhaps I still had a prayer he hadn't recognized me. After all, I had taken pains to conceal my identity. Clutching the kitten, Patches, I decided to call him, I bowed. When my braid swung forward and the kitten took a swing at the black tip, I grimaced. My cap must have fallen off in the excitement. I adopted a Cockney accent. "So sorry to inconvenience you, my lord." "Don't be a fool, Mary." Blast. He had recognized me. Stifling a sigh, I straightened to meet his arrogant gaze. "Is that title reserved for you?" The words slipped from my mouth on a whisper. He'd said the very same thing to me once, when I'd refused to leave him as he fought off a vicious dog. For a moment, his expression gentled, as if he was reliving that day years ago, same as me. Then, as if I'd imagined the vulnerable moment, the arrogant air of an old sun curled around him like fog. I adjusted my hold on the kitten to keep from crushing him. Patches mewled in protest all the same. He stretched out a paw, claws retracted, as if he reached for Edwin. Sutton leered down his long nose at me. He smelled of crisp starch. The starch must have seeped into his very bones. He stood so stiff. "I must be a fool to expect your gratitude after saving your life." I started with a mocking curtsy, belatedly recalling that I wore breeches instead of skirts. I tried to cover with a bow, but the result undoubtedly looked awkward. Sutton didn't laugh. In fact, his frosty demeanour didn't even slip to show the sliver of the boy I'd spent so much time with as a child. If anything, his lack of emotion compounded the situation. I didn't want to be in his debt. However, even if I might have been able to throw myself clear, the fact remained that Sutton had rescued me. "Thank you, my lord." As I added the address, I studied his face. As an adolescent, he'd flinched at the address. He hated to be the centre of attention, especially if someone fawned over him. This time, I saw no such qualms. He truly had changed. I held Patches closer to my chest. His thick eyelashes fluttered as he narrowed his eyes. My neck ached from craning it back to look him in the face. I refused to let my discomfort show. So what if he looked as welcoming as the French army? He was only a flesh-and-blood man. When he shifted, the scrape of his sleeves against his sides overpowered even the thunder of my heartbeat. The clamour of the London morning fell away, leaving the two of us isolated in a world of our own. Edwin. He wasn't the same man. Even if he had been, we hadn't parted on good terms years ago. "If you'd like to thank me, I know a better way." I held up the kitten. "Do you need a mouser?" His mouth softened, turning down at the corners as he studied the cat, as if only noticing it now. "I beg your... no. That wasn't what I meant at all. A shame, because he needs a home." "You keep him, then." His baffled frown turned into a scowl. I shifted Patches so I could scratch him behind the ear. "I would, but we've too many stray animals as it is. Papa would flay me." Sutton studied the kitten. His dark eyebrows lowered.